stream is up. Hey, Gabe, speak.
Brooklyn. Don't mind me. I'm just slamming an RX bar. Extremely chewy. The woman warned me, but I said, no, I'm still eating it. In fact, I ate two.
Nice. Okay, cool. All right, we gotta give it another minute or two, and then we'll get it going. Make sure everything is good. Everything sounds good.
She's questioning my health. She's like, "Why'd you slam 24 grams of protein?" Maybe I'll do 36.
Right?
Try me.
Don't challenge me, woman.
Fucking A.
Put that over here. I gotta organize my desk a little bit, bro. I'm a little out of whack at the moment. Just a little bit. What we got? Anybody in here? Nah, just me at the moment. That's okay. Close that. 2 scoops of protein to go with the vodka from the magazine. What the hell is he talking about?
I know exactly what he's talking about.
Okay, so you know what he's talking about. Okay, cool.
Yes, it's a thing.
It is a thing. Alrighty. Okay. Make sure we have one more last check before the whatchamacallit. We go and hit the official record button, you know what I'm saying? All right. Stream manager. Pull that up. We got. Alrighty, man. Are you just about ready, sir?
Yeah. The second bar has been slammoed. So let's do this. Let's obtain this green.
Nice.
Oh yeah, now we're ready officially.
For sure, yeah, for sure. Now you got all that space. You're ready to talk. All right.
I don't think that's how vocal cords work, but yeah.
I mean, are you a doctor?
Are you a doctor?
I can be. I play one on TV.
God damn it, San Francisco! Where the fuck is your disco? Oh, hang on, one more. Chili cheese enchilada. We are. Come on, you're supposed to finish it, buddy.
What? I don't even know what you're talking about.
Dude, come on. Chili cheese enchilada. We are the Devil Wears Prada.
Oh. Cool, man.
Start the podcast, goddamn you.
I want to. You keep talking. You're pulling a Nick Polk. Remember Polk kept on doing that?
Oh, bless. I'm the bitch this week.
What is going on, guys? Welcome to the Second City Kids podcast, episode number 165.
165, big number.
Yeah, and we are back on a chilly day on the south side of Chicago, Illinois. I'm your host, Jacob, and yeah, we're back. It has been over a month since we've run the show, just due to the fact that we've been busy. But yeah, we're here, and we're live on Twitch as well. And let's do this thing, all right? Obviously, I'm your host, Jacob, and see, I forgot what the fucking deal is because it's been so long.
Yeah, you forgot how to do this podcast.
Yeah, I forgot, yeah. I'm your host, Jacob, and with me today, I have Gabe. Gabe, how you doing,
What's
buddy?
up? Good, man. Been a long month, and now we're here.
We are here. How's everything been going?
Good. Damn, I'm like, my brain's trying to catch up from 164.
Yep.
What did we miss?
Well, you went to Nashville. Yeah, how was that?
Yeah, I went to Nashville. That was fun. Yeah, dude, just got clobbered, ate good, and roamed about, so that was tight.
Okay. Out of 10, what would you give Nashville?
Like a solid 8.5.
There we go. See?
Yeah.
Cool.
I couldn't give it a perfect 10 because, well, I still might get mugged.
This is true, but I think that's basically anywhere, though.
Yeah, I mean, you can get mugged anywhere, especially my house. You'll definitely get mugged if you come over.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Joke's on you, though, because then you'll counter mug me, but then joke's on you again because then you'll just have to help me look for the money here because there is none.
Okay, that was a weird train of thought that I was not expecting to go down, but that's okay.
I've had 24 grams of protein, dude. I'm a fucking wild card today.
Yeah, he's ready to go, man. He's ready to go. But yeah, we are back. Same deal, man. Like I said, it's been about a month, and we're living life, doing our thing. Just kind of keep everything together slowly but surely, getting through the start of this peak season, and hopefully, at least on my end, hopefully it comes to an end relatively soon because I'm getting sick of this shit. I'm getting sick of these boxes, but it is what it is. We have a little bit of an agenda to go through today, and I figured we'd take our time and talk about a couple of these things. Let's go ahead and get this crack-a-lackin'. If you wanted us to talk about anything live on Twitch land, just go ahead and drop a message on it, and we'll get chatting with you guys, all right? So let's go ahead and get this started. I believe you put this up here.
I did. So Netflix and I guess Ubisoft are doing a little collab, and we're getting an Assassin's Creed Netflix show. There's not much detail, no release date, no details, anything of that nature. But I guess what are your thoughts on this? Because Assassin's Creed is kind of like a well-established franchise at this point, right?
Yeah, my only thought process behind it is I'm kind of interested in what storyline are they taking. Like, do they plan on talking about like the Animus kind of a situation with Miles? Are they going to do it from that angle? Or are they just going to straight up go into the lore of it all? Because I think people forget that Assassin's Creed, the first couple of games were simulations. They weren't actually taking place during those time periods that they were marketed in. But recently, with the games, that's what's been happening. Basically, you just drop right into that world at that time period and you play through it. So I'm wondering what perspective they're taking on that,
I got you. Because this was also what is my word choice today? We also got news of a Resident Evil live action series too. So it looks like maybe video game movies are making a comeback because we all know how well the last set of Resident Evils did.
Yeah, we talked about the whole Monster Hunter thing last time we ran the show, but I think a TV series is something that we could work with. I mean, I think it's something that we could at least give a chance. We haven't really had a video game TV show other than the OG Mortal Kombat one that used to be on TNT, but that was like not really connected to the games. It was more like its own little standalone story. So
sure.
I'm kind of curious on what step they're going to take with it. What would you prefer? Would you prefer them to kind of just drop us in random time periods and living out those scenarios, or would you rather have the Miles aspect of the storyline?
That's a tricky one because I feel like part of the allure of Assassin's Creed was playing through those time periods and kind of, seeing the architecture, experiencing the political dilemmas and stuff like that. And like the Miles portions, I personally didn't mind. I thought it was a fun way to kind of tie them all together. I don't know how well that would translate to a 8 or 12 episode TV run. You know what I mean?
I do kind of have a route for them, but I don't know if they're willing to make the long term investment. You could just do by season by time period. So like that first season would be like in the old the original games time period, and then the second season would be in the Italian Renaissance era. You know what I mean? So they can go season by season and kind of play around with the seasons and the stories at that point. I guess that's a route, but again, it's kind of a long term commitment, and who knows how well it'll do. I mean, it is Netflix, so it's going to come with a certain type of quality with it, And
by that quality, you mean they're going to start and fund 2 or 3 seasons, and they're just never going to get a conclusion once everybody's invested.
Yeah, I mean that but it is what it is. But it looks great, So I don't know, man. It's kind of a weird spot, but I'm interested in an Assassin's Creed show. I think it would be. I think it is something that does lend itself to be translated relatively well to the style of media, And
absolutely.
I guess we'll have to kind of wait and see what's going on with that in the long run. But I'm interested. I'm in. We will keep you guys updated when we get some more info on that. Moving along. So some more MCU news. I know Gabe is very excited about this.
Livid.
Yeah. He's animated about it, guys. Oscar Isaacs is going to be playing Moon Knight in the new MCU movies. I think it's a solid pick. and really not a whole lot to say about it in that regard. I mean, I'm sure he'll do fine. They do, if Marvel does one thing well, it's casting. So, I'm sure that they have confidence in their pick, and I'm sure he'll do a good job. I think it's kind of interesting that he's the first to double dip in the X-Men MCU kind of a thing, I guess. Well, I guess there is Chris Evans, but that wasn't really X-Men. You guys, you have the point. One of the first guys, the second guys, I guess, at this point, to double dip into this universe and get another crack at another character that's a little bit more obscure. And I think that's what Marvel's going to be focusing on at this point, is getting some of these obscure characters leveled up, so to speak. So I think it's interesting.
Yeah, man. Bring those weirdos to the forefront. Bring those kind of underground heroes and villains. And let's expand here. You know what I mean? There's one thing about Oscar Isaac and Moon Knight is that you're right, dude. They fucking knocked it out of the park. He's like perfect for it. The face shape is like spot on. And I think he has like the perfect amount of sass to be Moon Knight, because you need to be a little fucking sassy to pull that role off.
Yeah, just a little bit, because the dude has like borderline personality disorder. So
he has trauma, so you need to be sassy, right?
Yeah, he has some issues. So I guess you kind of have, like you said, you kind of need that to pull off the style of role. But it's kind of cool, and like I said, they do casting very, very well. So I'd imagine that they know what they're doing, because they've known what they're doing up to this point, man. So we got that action. Next up, Halloween dropped, I guess. Would you call this a trailer? I would call it a trailer. Maybe it was a little bit more of a teaser. But
I was going to say.
But it's definitely more footage than we got at the second or the original teaser that dropped. So Halloween Kills, I think it's finally got its official new release date, which is in October of next year. So, because obviously it was supposed to drop this year. So Halloween Kills got a couple more footage, got a little bit more footage on that. It has a little bit of a narration from Jamie Lee Curtis, talking about how he kills, obviously. And I'm interested, man. I'm in. I mean, we've talked about this before. Gabe, probably the biggest supporter of the Danny McBride Halloween film, and I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it. It looks like they're weathering the mask a little bit, because obviously he was exposed to fire last time around, and it looks like they're going to have a couple of searing burn marks on this mask, which gives them a little bit more of a sinister look, And did you see it?
I did. It's it looks fucking great, first and foremost. And then secondly, so I have a couple sources that confirmed that in Halloween Kills that there will be a scene where Myers murders Danny McBride, but it's the Danny McBride from Pineapple Express, and he's gonna be like, "Whoa, man!" No, I'm totally fucking with you, but it does look excellent, and I am super excited. This is one of those things where we've been waiting for it since pretty much the last couple minutes of the previous one, right? Like we were just both super on board with this stuff, and this is kind of your character, man. I'm excited to see it, but I will say I don't want to see any more. Give me like a Cinemax poster, and give me like a timer countdown. That's all I need.
Okay.
Because I'm already excited.
You mean more of the film? You don't want to see any more of the film? You mean?
Man.
I thought you were implying that you didn't want to see any more from the franchise. I'm like, I got some bad news, buddy.
Oh no! Just for this particular instance, I think there's enough to kind of grab people's interest at this point, and to hold them on for a bit. So small stuff, like I said, Cinemax poster, countdown timer. Maybe like toys and cereals, like let's get a Michael Myers figure and like the Rice Krispies, right?
Now we're thinking.
And and we're rocking and rolling, dude. Yeah. This movie markets itself.
Correct. But I think what the most interesting aspect of it is that from a lot of the footage that I've seen, or a lot of the background that we seem to be getting on this, is that this movie seems to be taking place inside of Haddonfield Memorial Hospital, which is a throwback to Halloween 2, the original Halloween 2, because obviously that movie took place in a hospital. And I wonder how heavily they're going to lean on that, because it feels like every single time that they do this, when it comes to Halloween 2, they always have it take place in a hospital, even to a certain extent. Even the Rob Zombie one had like a dream sequence that took place in a hospital. So I like how it's kind of come full circle on that regard.
We kind of mentioned the yesterday, actually, that how we were talking about how the zombie writers for the Call of Duty games are really good at like paying homage and like reinvigorating kind of ideas that were good but now are like past their expiration point. And I think Halloween as a franchise brings it around. Doesn't necessarily execute a perfect 10 every time, but it tries. And so I'm super kind of appreciative of that because I liked Halloween 2. It was fun. I thought the setting was super creepy, and I think it'll be even more creepy this time around.
Yeah, it definitely feels claustrophobic. We're not out and about in the burbs anymore. We are confined to these hallways in this creepy, silent, for whatever reason, hospital. And I'm in it, man. I'm in. Like we've talked about this on end, and I'm really looking forward to this. I can't fucking believe we're gonna have to wait another year to get a hold of this thing. It's quite depressing. I am saddened by this because man, fucking COVID, bro. It is what it is.
Yeah, right.
Yep, it is what it is. So let's keep it moving. Next up, Mandalorian is back. We are a couple episodes into this season. Man, if you ain't watching this shit, bro, you need to do it. Jon Favreau is doing God's work, straight up, man.
It's weird how The Mandalorian is kind of all of the Star Wars fans, like, maybe the one thing they all agree on. Like, this is the shit right now, huh?
Correct, yeah. Like I said, Favreau doing God's work. We've had some great homages so far with this and this new episode that just dropped this week. If you know, you know, man. God damn, I've never seen a character look so badass in my life.
So a quick little shout out to Favreau because I don't know if you caught it. Well, you probably didn't because you haven't played the game. But the episode with the Crate Dragon and the Pearl, that is literally ripped from Knights of the Old Republic. It is literally like almost a 1-to-1 replica of what happened.
Really?
Yep. Ripped it straight from there in like a good way, and not like he ran out of ideas, but it was a definite like hardcore homage. Like if you played KOTOR in 2003 and you saw that episode of The Mandalorian, you were like, oh wait, hang on, I've seen this before.
For sure, man. And just a couple of things. They've introduced some characters that we've seen before. And like I said, doing God's work. I like how Favreau didn't give a fuck about what the new Disney sequel trilogy did. He's like, I don't care what they did. I'm gonna tie up my loose ends. I don't give a shit what they got going on their end, because he has a vision led by one man. We've talked about this in the past.
Oh yeah.
But he's got a vision, and people are complaining a little bit where it's kind of like that never-ending side quest kind of scenario. And yeah, to a certain extent, but I'm with it, dude, because they got a character that has a whole bunch of charisma, and he has a helmet on the whole majority of the show, you know, and obviously Baby Yoda sells himself. So man, this is so good. Me and my wife, we get excited every single time it's time to sit down and watch it. It's just one of our favorite things. And man, like I said, like you mentioned it, man, like no matter what, even if you disliked the sequel trilogy, which I think you and I would say fair enough that it was kind of a mixed bag, this Mandalorian thing is just, it's beautiful, man. It's just wonderful.
Yeah, man. Favreau, by the people, for the people.
Absolutely. Favreau 2024. We are moving along. So, Sylvester Stallone. I've been really getting into Rocky recently. I don't know if I've talked about it. I've been watching a lot of Rocky recently. But with that being said, Sylvester Stallone joins the cast for Suicide Squad. So he will be in the new Suicide Squad film. Don't know what role.
He'll be playing Rocky Balboa.
Right? I mean, I'm in, bro.
He's going to beat the shit out of the villains.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. And like I said, don't know what role, but if Sly's in it, you know, sign me up, man. And I'm actually thinking about maybe the next time we run the podcast doing a whole review of the whole
Rocky in review.
Yeah, the whole Rocky in review. Yep, the whole franchise review, including Creed. Because I was talking to it with Adriana the other day. I'm like, that story arc, like what Rocky went through from the very first film all the way to Creed 2. It's very sad, actually. It is not really a happy story in the long run. A man,
it's happy if you stop after one.
Yeah, exactly. A man who basically lost everything along the way, and you know, life and age and sickness took away everybody that he loves, and Drago took away everybody that he loves, and it's kind of a sad story. So it is something that I want to get into, and like I said, I don't know if we'll be prepared for the next show because I do want to do like a severe deep dive on this because Rocky's just one of my favorite franchises of all time, and I think it deserves that respect. So that might be something that we do. I don't know if you're into it, if you want to sit down and watch them all.
Oh, absolutely.
And we can have a conversation about it. But I
actually think that Rocky may be one of the few franchises that there's like buttery smoothness across like all of our takes. I think like all the movies will line up.
Yeah, I'd probably have to agree with that because I don't know, because like when we talk about like famous characters throughout cinema, you know, multiple people have played Batman, multiple people have played James Bond, you know, multiple people have technically played Indiana Jones because they had a young Indy at some point, right? Multiple people have played Han Solo. We've only had one Rocky, only one,
and now he's a dusty Rocky.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting, and I think it's something that is worth examining. So we definitely will do that soon. But yeah, Sly joining the Suicide Squad. I've been watching a lot of Expendables recently. I've just been on a Sly kick, I guess. It is what it is. But yeah, man. So I'm definitely into it. Mixed feelings about the Suicide Squad in general. We know how that goes. So I guess we'll have to wait and see. But that's some news for that.
Absolutely. Let's talk Tom and Jerry. Were you a Tom or were you a Jerry, Jacob?
I was a Jerry because I'm a little guy, so I can't help myself. But
so you were an asshole.
Absolutely.
Still are,
100%.
For the record, but yeah.
100%. Yeah, for sure. But so this is something I actually heard zero about. I had no idea that they were going to be dropping a Tom and Jerry film. And if you would have told me that, I would have think, well, it's a movie based in Tom and Jerry. But it turns out they're actually taking kind of a Roger the Rabbit approach with this. They got Tom and Jerry in the real world. I guess they decided to go their own separate ways. And, you know, Jerry goes one path, Tom goes down the other. Tom is hired to kill a mouse in a hotel, to hunt a mouse in a hotel. And it turns out that mouse is Jerry. So Chloe Grace Moretz is in this. And sign me up. Because
I love how simple that premise is. And you can already imagine a lot of the shenanigans going on. Like he walks into the hotel room, and just eyes pop out of his head like, ah, shit, here we go again.
Here we go again. Exactly. Yep. And it's just, and like I said, it's kind of this weird Roger Rabbit mix because it's not just Tom and Jerry that are animated. Like they have other animated assets in this film. And wouldn't have guessed that was the route they would have taken with that, you know? And I think it's kind of unique. We don't really get very many live action cross animation films, I think, because they're so hard to make, you know? And I think it's
because we got Space Jam, Roger Rabbit,
and
those are the big ones that I can think of. I'm sure there's a couple more.
Yeah, but like I said, it's not an easy thing to do. It's very hard to pull off. Roger Rabbit is still just one of the greatest movies ever made, just because of how difficult it was, I'm sure. And I saw it, and I'm like, okay, you got take my money, because that's something that I'm interested in. That's something that I'm into. I want to see Tom and Jerry in the real world duking it out. So I'm in.
Fuck yeah.
Yep, I'm in.
Let me get a Tom, Jerry, Austin Powers crossover. I think that'd be hilarious.
You're so strange. What is wrong with you?
Nothing's wrong with you, man. We just need an AP4. That's all.
Yeah, right. For sure. Yeah, you've been talking about the Austin Powers movie for a minute. You need one in your life, huh?
I need some more Mike Myers, but not that Mike Myers.
Okay, cool, fair enough.
Actually, wait, hang on. I got an extra saucy idea. So we take Halloween.
Oh god.
We do an AP4 cross. Anyway, moving on to gaming. So we got a pretty big game release that you bought because you always buy them.
Correct.
Talk to me about the new Call of Duty, as you do every November.
Yep, Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War is now full. They needed to work on that. But so obviously this is the newest jam. Treyarch's series that just continues to go and keep on moving and do interesting things. I want to take a kind of point by point here. Let's talk about the campaign real quick. So the campaign features your own, I guess, kind of custom character. Left kind of ambiguous. They don't really give you a whole lot of information about the character that you create, and you go through this adventure that obviously takes place during the 80s. All right, Ronald Reagan's involved. Some of the old tried and true members of this team are involved, such as Mason and Woods.
Nice.
As well as a couple of new people such as Adler, Park, et cetera, et cetera. So you're going through these missions. It is kind of freeform, similar to Black Ops 2, where you could kind of play the game in kind of loose order. But with that being said, because you know, and I know, when you play Call of Duty campaigns, you expect a certain amount of just bang, boom, explosion, high energy moments, which it does have those. But there is surprisingly some depth to gameplay in the campaign that I think should be applauded. Because they do have some straight up sneaking around stealthy missions in this game, and I'm not just talking about like Gillied Up or something like that where you're a sniper. I'm talking about you have infiltrated the KGB headquarters and you need to not be discovered style of stuff. And you can kind of approach the mission in any way that you see fit. There's a variety of objectives that you have to try to hit, and you get them done. And if you don't, it affects the story. All right. And or affects the story in different ways. Similarly to Black Ops 2, there is a variety of endings that can happen, that can occur. The canon ending, I think, is a little bit of a cop-out, just due to the fact that you kind of see it coming, just due to the fact that some characters weren't as fleshed out as they should have been, if that makes sense. And I think what was more interesting was the non-canon ending, where it's just the most dark, scary, grim
end of the world shit.
Yeah, grim end of the world kind of a situation, which obviously just doesn't work with the canon that has already been established with this the Black Ops franchise. Just due to the fact that this takes place between Black Ops 1 and 2. So to a certain extent, certain people have to survive because you saw them already. You know what I mean? So yeah, I think it's kind of an interesting take. I was trying to poke holes at the plot a little bit, just because I wanted to see if there were holes to be had. Not a lot. I give them credit for trying their best to tie up some of the loose hanging points from previous Black Ops games. So I thought that was kind of interesting. And I think it at the very least, it takes more of a similar to what Modern Warfare did with their most recent game. It took more of a psychological approach on how war can affect people, and how the Cold War itself was very tense, and how allegiances are a little bit blurred. So I think overall, I think they did a pretty good job with it. My biggest complaint is the length of the campaign. It is not very long at all. If you were flying through missions and not doing any of the objective stuff or the side quest stuff, you could probably get it done in like 3 hours. So,
oh wow, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, that is very, very short. Now, with that being
like Big Red One, that might be shorter than Big Red One.
Yeah, probably. Now, the only reason why I don't want to give them too much flack for is because Treyarch was not next in the rotation. They were not supposed to be here right now. This was supposed to be Sledgehammer's game. And obviously they got pulled. They got yanked for that. So I don't want to give them too much shit, because they did get rushed last minute, I am sure. All right. And, it is what it is. But I think they could have done a little bit more tightening up on some of the story aspects. But overall, I would think that they did a pretty good job with that part of the game. Next up, multiplayer. It is Black Ops, the original Black Ops. That's what I feel like.
In a good way or in a bad way?
In a way that it's familiar, and not just because it's the typical Call of Duty formula, but because it feels like Black Ops to me. But again, there are some things that I don't think work. I'm not particularly fond of the kill streak system and how that works. I know that was something that we talked about during the beta. I was not crazy about it then. I'm not particularly crazy about it now. I just wish that they would kind of keep it simple stupid in that regard. You know what I mean? Because they want to make sure that they limit the amount of kill streak spam that there exists in the game. But I feel like there's still plenty of that to go around. The weapons are kind of boring in the multiplayer. And I think it takes a little bit too long to level them up. And there's sometimes the game just doesn't. I feel like there's situations very often in this game where I should have a dude dead, and he's not, and he like runs away, and then I turn the corner, and then him and his buddies shoot me in the face. I feel like that happens a lot more in this game than it has in any other previous Call of Duty game.
Okay,
so
that's a lot more turnarounds and bullshit.
Yeah, I think that there's a healthy dose of bullshit in this game, and Call of Duty naturally comes with that anyways. But this one in particular, there's some very irking, angering moments that I've had so far that I would probably say I didn't have as many of those moments in Modern Warfare when it dropped. But we'll wait and see. There is an extreme drought on the map count. There's only 8 multiplayer maps. And again, I guess we could kind of blame that on them being rushed to finish. But with kind of the way things have changed around and how they release content now, I think a lot of that could be forgiven too, because they think they will be dropping maps free moving forward. They've already done Nuketown. Nuketown's already out. And I think I heard Firing Range and Jungle and Summit are also supposed to be coming. So that increases it to 12 on top of whatever new stuff that they have coming along with it. Multiplayer, not in love with it, but I don't hate it either. I just wish that we can cut out some of the bullshit deaths. I think that's something that I would want, you know. So there's that aspect of that. Moving along, zombies. Now, if they have stepped up the gameplay, or they have stepped up the bar in one particular facet of this game, it is the zombies mode. Now, I am not the biggest zombie player historically. Not that I dislike it or anything like that. It's not my thing, you know. I hop in from time to time, shoot some zombies with some friends, and move along. But I've actually caught myself playing zombies on my own, which is something that I don't normally do.
Nice.
I was actually playing by myself today, and it is exhilarating. What they have done, they made it really hard. First off, because of some of the boss zombies that they've included. Hard in a good way, challenging in a good way, challenging in the spinning multiple plates at the same time kind of a way. And you got that action going. I love what they've done with the perk system, how they've changed that around and made it more where you can have everything, but it comes with a price. I like the pack-a-punch system. They've changed that up a little bit as well. I love the map. I just love... See, the thing about like the zombies story arc, and like I said, I don't necessarily follow along 100%, but just the world that it creates, it feels lived in. You know, it feels like it could actually kind of happen in some strange universe. And just some of the way they design their levels and the way they make everything look is just gorgeous. Like, look at Kino as an example. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's
iconic
just,
at this point.
Yeah, it's just iconic. Like, a lot of these zombies maps are iconic. Moon and Extension, like, it's just the way it looks is just visually stunning. And I'm in with that, man. I really do enjoy zombies. Like I said, I'm not the type of guy that normally plays zombies, but I've played it on stream a lot recently with the team. So really, zombies, they've done such a great job. I love the fact that they took an older map, the OG map, the oldest map, and have kind of expanded on it. And it kind of leaves that level of intrigue. You're like, wow, this was on top. I was on top of this the whole entire time. You know what I mean? And it's kind of cool, you know? And have like this whole different branching story arc. Obviously everything takes place in the same world, and canon is canon as they said in the game, or in the, you know, all the pre-release stuff. They mentioned that as canon is canon, but obviously from the decisions made along the way, you feel the impact of the decisions the characters made. And I just like it. I love zombies. I really do, man. If I could recommend one aspect that they said, okay, if you could only play one aspect of this game, I would pick zombies. And
wow. Okay.
And that's completely new for me. I am not the type of guy to do that. So the zombies is extremely well done. It's a hell of a lot of fun. And I love it. The zombies is absolutely excellent. So overall, I would say I'm enjoying my experience with the new Black Ops games. I did the new Black Ops game. I don't know if that's just my bias. You know, I'm a Treyarch guy. I love all the Black Ops games. I love the story. I love the characters. All of them. From every aspect of the game, from the zombies to the campaign. So I don't know if I'm just giving it the benefit of the doubt more than I probably should. But, you know, solid game. I'm giving it a B for now. It could turn into an A after time, because I think you and I both agree that Modern Warfare became an A after a while. And
yeah, that was my follow-up question, is that now what is the longevity and the lifespan of this game?
I think it really depends on what they're planning on doing. Because there's one aspect of this game that hasn't been dropped yet, and that's the Warzone aspect of it. Because I think there's a lot of questions to be had about the Warzone aspect of how it's going to be integrated with the new game. Like, we don't even know if we're getting a new map. Like, we don't know much about it at all. And supposedly it's supposed to be coming within the next couple of weeks or so. So I guess we'll have to wait and see. And obviously Warzone, I think definitely we can all agree, helped the lifespan of the previous game. And I'm just interested in see what's going to happen with the next.
Cool beans. So some more Cyberpunk 2077 news. It's the same news as all the previous times it's been on this podcast. It's delayed again. But I actually found a pretty fun comment detailing all the things that have happened since Cyberpunk was announced.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Can you do me a favor and just turn back the gain just a little bit?
Turn up the gain?
Turn back the gain. Turn back the gain. You're distorting.
Turning back the gain.
Better.
All right. So, do you want to know the day the teaser trailer dropped, or do you not want me to mention it until the end?
Up to you. How do you best present this?
I'll save it for the end. So let's
Okay.
run through the things that have happened since the teaser dropped for this game. 2 Resident Evil remakes, 2 The Last of Us, 2 Rockstar open world games, 2 Dark Souls, 3 Gears of Wars, 11 Call of Duties, 9 Assassin's Creeds, 2
What?
Gods of Wars, 2 Uncharted's, 2 Devil May Cry's, 3 Watch Dogs, 1 The Last Guardian, Baldur's Gate 3 launch, Diablo 4 has been announced, Kingdom Hearts has a prologue, 2 Fallouts, 4 Battlefields, 2 World Cups, 1 entire Star Wars trilogy. Crash came back with a remastered trilogy, 1 a racing spin-off, and a mainline sequel, 6 Yakuzas, 5 JoJo animations, 2 Popes, 2 Spider-Man reboots in theaters, 3 Avenger movies, the death of the Wii U and the birth of the Switch, the launch of the PlayStation 4 and 5, the Xbox One and Xbox Series launch, Stadia's birth and future death. All of that has happened.
When was the original teaser dropped for this?
January 10th, 2013.
Get the fuck out of here. Has it really been that long?
Yep, 7 years.
Holy shit. Shit, at this point, they're going to have to call it Cyberpunk 2177. Jesus Christ.
Oh, bless. That's fucking great.
Yeah, Jesus Christ. Because at this rate, 2077, it's going to be like, oh, this year.
Yeah, the one that fucked me up was the 11 Call of Duties. I was like, oh, shit.
Jesus Christ. That's wild, bro.
Yep, so maybe, I don't know, maybe it'll drop this year, maybe not. We'll see.
Man. Well, I feel like we're getting more news on it, like how the game actually works, you know, because like it's been kind of this name that's been floating around. Everybody's like, oh, it looks cool, sounds cool, but what's it about? And I feel like at least we're getting what it's about these days, at least. So
it's a bit ethereal in nature at the moment.
Yeah, so that's kind of interesting. Wow, I like that. That was funny. What were you doing 7 years ago, Gabe?
7 years ago?
Yeah, how old were you?
I was in high school.
You were in high school?
I was 17, so I was probably a junior.
Okay.
Starting my junior year. Yeah, sounds about right.
Wow.
So Pompadour was still happening.
Cool.
I don't know about cool, but yeah.
Hey man, it was your fashion sense.
It was a warning sign.
Correct.
It was like a totem, like a death totem, right?
Yeah. 7 years ago, I was 20, and I had only been dating Adriana for like 2 years at that point.
Oh, nice.
Think about that.
So, just for reference, for those people who haven't known me that long, my Pompadour worked like the new Apex operator, where I could drop it, and if you killed me in the pit, I would respawn by the Pompadour.
Man, I've been playing a lot of Apex recently, bro.
Yeah, sorry about that.
No, I actually, bro, like, in all honesty, like, you and I were, like, huge supporters of Apex when it first dropped, that I think both of us kind of fell off. And with that being said, I've been playing a lot with it, obviously, on stream and stuff. Man, that shit's I'm having a blast. Now, I haven't been getting a whole lot of wins. I blame that on Ish. But,
I know that feeling, my friend.
yeah, but yeah, man, I'm having a blast. I accidentally unlocked a character that I fell in love with, so I'm ready, bro. But yeah, that's kind of funny, Gabe. I like that. So speaking of kind of like next generation and moving forward with gaming, the consoles have subsequently dropped, both of them, and they've been bricking. Both of them. Now, obviously, you guys have probably seen that famous video of the Xbox One Series X1 3000 Castlevania 4 version of the Xbox, whatever the fuck they're calling it these days, smoking. Apparently, that was fake. So, fair enough. But
Bro, it's not even 21 yet. It can't be smoking.
Nice. There also, saw that it was grinding disc. PlayStations have been shutting down at random. And they wanted us to believe that these things were not rushed to production. What
did I tell you? What was one of the main reasons why I told you I'm not getting a next gen on launch?
We were gonna wait and see all the little kinks get worked out.
Yep.
And I would say consoles bricking.
It's a little bit more than a kink.
Yeah, because like when you say kinks, I think like maybe some software issues and maybe some UI, fixes and some setting changes and stuff like that. Like, but consoles straight up not turning back on, I think it's a little bit more of a severe issue. So yeah, it's kind of made me kind of glad I haven't been able to get a hold of one. Hasn't stopped me from trying, but here we are. And
you can teach a man to fish, but you cannot teach a fish to man. That's for sure.
Exactly. So
exactly.
So kind of interesting, and we'll have to wait and see. Again, I don't have one, so I don't have a review for you, which upsets me to a certain extent. Because I was really looking forward to doing that on the damn thing, and maybe
yeah. Quick little tidbit on that.
Sorry.
Sony did announce that they are releasing more consoles before the end of the year, and to get in touch with your local retailers and stuff like that. So more are on the way. I think with time, it's going to be easier to buy one, obviously. But I think by the time like February, March rolls around, you could probably like walk into a Walmart, Best Buy, GameStop, whatever the fuck, and probably scoop one up, no problem.
Yeah.
Once the hype kind of dies down.
I'm probably gonna wait to the point where it is easy to just walk in and
wait till they start selling bundles.
Yeah, well, they already got like GameStop got bundles out and stuff with it, like with their own shit. But I'm gonna wait. I think I'm trying to figure out like what game, because that's like the big thing. The reason why I'm not like totally devastated by it is because they don't have any games.
Yeah, what the fuck are you gonna play on it?
I'm gonna play PlayStation 4 games. I already have a PlayStation. You know what I mean? Like,
you have two of them.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I don't know. Like, that's the only reason why I'm not freaking out, because I feel like a lot of the games that they have at launch weren't exactly world beaters. And I know Spider-Man Miles Morales is dope, but it's really just an expansion of
Spider-Man.
Yeah, the Spider-Man game that already exists. So, sorry. So, we'll see. But if God of War, as an example, dropped with it, I'd be pretty fucking upset. But all the games that exist currently basically exist on current gen, so it's not the end of the world, but it is what it is, you know?
Time will tell, my friend. Time will tell.
Absolutely. Next thing, apparently, something out of the James Bond camp when it comes to gaming. They are dropping a new James Bond game out there. It's just been announced. It's called Project 007 at the moment. I'd imagine.
So it's actually a racing game. And all the movies get their own. No, don't fucking listen to me.
No, don't do that. But I'm because from what I understand, it's not like an FPS game. Like, it's supposed to be like a narrative-based game where you play as James Bond.
Like a Telltale game?
No, not like that. But like more of, I'm hoping maybe something along the lines of like maybe like a Splinter Cell.
Okay, I could fuck with that.
Like a Splinter Cell Hitman kind of a situation.
Yeah, just don't have it be as dog shit as the Hitman games.
Well, hold on. I know people that like those games. So I mean,
it has good bones
for sure. Yeah,
and no fucking skin.
I mean, yeah.
Spooky season is over, my friend.
I guess. Yeah.
It is now Krampus season.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's what I'm hearing, that it's more narrative based and gonna have its own story and stuff, which is like a first, because I think all of the James Bonds games we've gotten since like the N64 days have all been like movie spin-offs. You know, even like the most famous James Bond game, GoldenEye, was just a movie spin-off or a moody adaptation of a game. So I think that's kind of interesting. Like I said, I think the only one we haven't gotten was a GameCube game that I can't remember, like Rogue Agent or whatever the fuck it was called. But most of them have been based on just the movies that exist. So I'm interested, man. Sign me up. Because I think we could use a cool espionage spy 007 game. I think I'd be kind of cool. I think it's just me really wanting to have another Splinter Cell. I think that's really all it is.
Yeah, Ubisoft kind of awakened the beast by bringing Sam Fisher back to Rainbow Six. Yeah, and now we're like, well, you can do that, but you can't do the Splinter Cell.
I think that's the funny thing about it. It's like, well, this will tie them over. It's like, no, it's not. People,
it's just proves you can do it, motherfucker.
And it's just pissing people off. They're like, so you can put them in Siege, but you can't put them. You can't make a new one. Like, come on, bro. Fuck. Like,
I don't even need a new one. Just give me a Chaos Theory remake.
Yeah, man. Just something, bro.
Give me the trilogy, an HD trilogy.
That's what I'm saying, bro. Like, it's such a layup for them, and we've talked about this in the past, but. Like I said,
it is the easiest $60 I will ever spend.
For sure, man. Like, people forget about how awesome those games were, and how groundbreaking they were for the time. Because even a game like Metal Gear had its moments where it was like straight up actiony, and I guess eventually Splinter Cell did kind of become that too. But Splinter Cell was like all about sneaking around and shit. So
especially in like the first one, man.
Yeah,
so many hours into that thing.
Correct. It was pretty. Do you remember the ads that they used to have for the phone? version of it. It was like they had like a special gaming quote unquote phone that you would like slide it up and it would come like a controller in your hand, and it would.
Oh, was that the Sony Xperia thing?
Something like that, where they had like a version like a gaming phone situation with it. And this was like around the same time like where Matrix was like really hot, and like those weird cool looking phones that slide like were like really cool. I don't know what brought that up, but it had a wave of nostalgia that kind of rode over me right there. But so yeah, we'll see what happens with this Project 07. I will definitely be keeping a very close eye on it. All right,
good stuff. Let's talk music, news, and reviews. We got a couple big ones for you, but this isn't on the agenda. I do kind of want to share my the Chariot story on here really quick, because I think it's a fun little story.
Absolutely.
So as you know, you may know, if you listen to this podcast, I love a band called The Chariot from Douglasville, Georgia. So Black Friday rolls around. I had not planned on going out. The girlfriend went to work. I kind of hung around the house. I was like, okay, I need to grab some gas. So I was tanking up, and then it hit me. It hit me like a dump truck full of dildos. I started calling all the record stores in a 50-mile radius, and to see if they had the 10-year anniversary pressing of Long Live, which is my favorite album by The Chariot, right? Mm-hmm. And so I'm like 34 stores down the list. Some of them don't exist anymore. Some of them are like, who the fuck is this band? And I'm just like, like, this is my sign, right? I'm just it's not gonna happen, right? Mm-hmm. And so I was like, fine, I guess I shall pay the resale fee on eBay afterwards. I was prepared for that, right? And then I call one place, and they're like, yes, we have Long Live by The Chariot. We have 2 copies, but you are the second person to call about it, so you must hurry. And so I hopped into the car and flew down the highway, bumping Long Live by The Chariot, of course.
Nice.
And yeah, dude, so I was screaming along. You know that thing that happens when you stand up too fast and your eyes go black?
Yes.
I'm talking like pushing my vocal cords like that on the highway, right?
Oh, okay.
So that was fun. And so I'm like, oh man, like I need this, right? Like I fucking drove an hour out to this record store to get this fucking album, right? Mm-hmm. And then I'm like 500 feet from the store. I'm like half a block from the turn right, and then I get caught by a train.
Oh man.
So I'm freaking the fuck out. I'm waiting for this bitch to pass on by, because it's not a metro train. It's a cargo train, right?
At least 25 minutes.
Yeah, and then like all of the bad decisions that I've made in my life have accumulated in that train. So I'm staring at them like, okay, I remember this one. I remember that one. There's like a moment of like repentance, right?
Sure.
And the train stops, whip around the street, park the car. And at the same time, I get out of my car. Some greasy looking dude in a beanie hops out, and I'm like, I know what this dude is after. I know why you're here, Shraggy. And so he puts on his mask, I put on my mask, and I fucking hop, skip, and jump into the store. And the dude's like, what up, guys? Blah, blah, blah. Record store day stuff is over here, right? And I see it. I see the faint holographic glimmer from the album, and I snatch it. And the dude who walked in behind me, greasy beanie dude, goes, oh, man. And but the good news is that he was the other guy. So there's still both copies left, right? So I was just like, oh, man, thank God I got this fucking thing.
You were the 2 people on this planet searching for that.
Yeah, the only 2 people left that still listen to The Chariot arrived at the same store in Wheaton, Illinois.
So strange.
Within seconds of each other.
That's so fucking weird.
They had only 2 copies, and both of us pull up.
What are the odds of that?
It worked out beautifully, honestly. I'm not upset.
Yeah, both of you guys had a happy ending for that.
Yeah, man. He was like, oh, good shit, dude. I was like, yeah, long live, brother, long live. And so just a cool little thing. They have 2 bonus tracks at the end of it. They have a 12-page black and white photo booklet with all the lyrics on it and stuff. There's this cool like holographic sleeve that's like an alternate art for the cover.
Okay.
With the Chariot skull on it. I'm just super pleased. I paid $26 for this, whereas I would have probably paid like $80 online.
My favorite. I want to hear the other dude's version of this story. He's like, yeah, so I pulled up, right, and this dude who looked like a fucking vampire came out of a Beamer.
I was wearing a wig too.
No,
so.
You were not.
I was wearing a wig, dude.
You better not have been wearing a wig.
So that's my Chariot story, because Because I had to, right? If not me, then who?
That's correct. Yeah, so me and Adrian have been making comments about how you dress recently. She's like, what's going on with him?
Oh, great. Here we go.
I'm like, what's going on with him these days? I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, he's dressed like a fucking vampire.
What outfit in particular was she getting at?
I don't know. But I confirmed the fact that you look like a vampire due to the ensemble that you wore yesterday. So I'm like, that's kind of...
Yesterday?
That was kind of...
I wore a cowhide jacket. I look like a cowboy.
Yeah, but you had like sunglasses and the dangly earring, and it's like, yeah, it's a little...
Yeah.
It's a little...
Yeah, I'm a all natural. Or no, you can't even say vegetarian. I was trying to get at some weird like food dietary restriction for vampires, but cows are still meat.
Correct.
I failed and fumbled. But I mean, hey man, that's what happens when you grow up on Viva La Bam and him and all that good stuff.
I mean, I did too, man, but I don't know if I could pull off the vampire thing.
It's the tallness, dude.
Yeah.
You got to be 6 foot.
Yeah,
that's what it is.
I don't think I'm slim enough. I don't think I'm tall enough to pull off that. So I do more of like a tree trunk kind of a situation.
Tree trunk situation.
Just stay low to the ground and hopefully nobody runs into me.
Yeah, and if you tap it just right, you'll get sap seeping out.
Exactly. Anyway,
oh, good stuff. So we got a career in review today.
Yeah,
and I don't want to say we discussed it. We kind of we crossed the brushes a little bit about how we felt about doing this review.
Sure.
So before we deep dive into the albums and eventually start bickering like an old married couple, I just want to say that Chiodos,
oh man, here we go,
is one of those bands that could have been a great chip name. And that's all.
What?
Yeah, Chiodos, like chips. Chiodos chips.
Okay. So
all right,
what's your fucking problem?
With what?
What's your problem?
I don't know.
All right, well, we'll start.
All right, so 2003, The Heartless Control Everything.
Yep.
It was not a bad first release. There was definitely a lot of roughness around the edges. And when I'm talking about roughness around the edges, I'm thinking like a saw blade, right? Where if you like pick it up wrong or if you grab it too hard, you're like, ow. That being said, I'm being very kind of like lenient here.
Because it's like a first.
It was 2003,
yeah,
and it was an emerging subgenre of music. And I was actually watching a Mayhem documentary, and this is relevant, I promise. But in the 80s, when they recorded one of their albums, they didn't the producer didn't mix it because he literally had no idea how to capture all this stuff and translate it, right? And I feel like there's a lot to be said about new and emerging waves, subgenres, shit like that.
Okay.
I don't totally hate the Heartless Control Everything, but it's one of those things where you're like, this is probably the first thing they ever did when they were really young. And that's okay, because it was a good attempt. I'm not upset at them for it. You got to put something out, right?
Yeah, so I'd agree with you on that. I'm not going to put too much weight into this basket just due to the fact, like you said, it was obviously when they were very young. I mean, even the best bands in the world have a funny first release or two, because this is more like EP demo kind of territory, you know?
Because this is okay. So All's Well Ends Well was when they were wrapping up hise school. They were about 18 at the time, and this is 2 years prior, so they were like freshmen, sophomores.
Yeah, so we can't give them too much flack. I mean, just because bands change, obviously. I mean, go take a listen to early Under Oath and tell me that, you know, because they were like borderline black metal.
Go take a listen to any band that's been on the scene and still active for 10 to 15 years.
Correct. It's you know, you're gonna get certain.
It's called growth, and we encourage that on this podcast.
For sure. So, like I said, I'm not going to put too much weight on it. I didn't listen to it very much growing up, and I did not even hear of the album or this EP, I guess, until after the fact. So,
until you did the deep dive?
Yeah. Well, I knew they existed and stuff, but I just never really got to it because it wasn't very important. Because, like I said, I mean, there's a certain thing to. I don't want to hold this against them just due to the fact that it was such a long time ago and it wasn't their debut album, so to speak. Their debut didn't really come until All's Well That Ends Well. So, you know.
Yeah, so let's dive into that one.
Yeah.
Unless you got some closing comments on the first.
No, let's go.
The debut. Okay.
No, let's go.
So All's Well Ends Well debuted in 2005. It broke a lot of Billboard charts, and Chiodos was pretty much catapulted into fame. Kind of being one of the forerunners of this sound, because you can see their influence in a lot of bands like Scary Kids Scaring Kids. Who else? I'm fucking
Any band that had a high pitched vocalist after 2005 was inspired by this.
Yeah, absolutely. Because if Craig Owens can do it, I can do it, right?
A Skylit Drive, all those bands.
Oh yes, how could I forget a Skylit Drive? Okay, so before we talk about album content, I do want to say that Chiodos is really good at making long fucking albums. Because I think this thing is like 55 minutes, if I'm not mistaken.
53, I believe.
53, yeah, that's insane. Because I feel like one of the most common complaints we have about albums, EPs, stuff like that is that it's like, dude, it's 22 minutes.
Yeah.
Like, Sanction is gnarly, man, but come on, 22 minutes. Like, I can't even finish fucking in 22 minutes, you know? Chiodos kind of, and they're not, like I said, they're not the first band to do it. Pink Floyd has long-ass albums and stuff, but in this scene, they made two things very prevalent, and one of them was long fucking albums with, like, fun exchanges in between songs, and I want to say that they're one of the better bands that did the long, sceney names. Like, There's No Penguins in Alaska, the words best friend become redefined, baby you wouldn't last a minute on the creek. Do you want to talk like iconic long ass song title names? You're gonna bring up Chiodos, you're gonna bring up Old Bring of the Horizon, and you're gonna bring up Fall Out Boy. Like, those are the big three, you know?
Correct.
That being said, what did you think about this album?
So the thing about this album in particular, and full transparency, when I first discovered Chiodos, this was the album that had just dropped, and I did not like it very much. There was some very good highlight tracks on the album. The ones that are the singles, Where's Best Friend Come Redefined, Baby Little Less Man on a Creek, those songs. To me, it just feels like there's a heavy level of unbalance between the songs that weren't singles versus the ones that were. It was very experimental, very, very strange, very weird. And especially with some of the rawness of the vocals. I think this is a band, especially with that first album, that you could tell had a tremendous amount of musical talent, but it was very raw and very unrefined. And to me, to a certain extent, it felt like they were kind of just throwing stuff up there just to kind of be weird and avant-garde, and to a certain extent. And to me, like Craig, because people talk so highly about Craig's vocals, this album, I don't see it at all. He is very loose.
Right, because I think this is where the first of the fissures is going to start. Let's equate this like this: if Heartless is trying something for the very first time, right? Like, your buddy takes you to, like, your boxing class, and he's like, "Yeah, man, like, you just try it, right? If you like it, you like it. If you don't, never come back, right?" I feel like that All's Well Ends Well is the beginning portion where you pay your monthly due, you start coming in maybe once or twice a week, before work, before school, whatever it is, and you're slowly starting to get into it. You don't quite got that bob and weave yet. Your form is still super sloppy, but there's something. And that something is a kind of a commitment to yourself. And I feel like that's what All's Well That Ends Well does. It's a commitment to Chiodos as a brand. Because we see a lot of themes and a lot of kind of stuff from this album in literally the rest of their fucking discography.
Correct. Yeah. For sure, especially when it comes to some of the imagery and, like, some of the things that they, like, some of the routes they decided to go with hard things like looks and a sound to a certain extent. Because, like I said, the highlight tracks are very, very well done, and they sound very, very good, and they're very beautiful and cinematic in certain ways. And the ones that aren't, they're just kind of weird. It almost sounds like a ripoff Taking Back Sunday, but just not nearly as talented in a certain extent when it comes to those guys. And
it was Chiodos doing TBS.
Yeah, it was just
not TBS doing TBS.
Yeah, it was just a strange amalgamation of songs. And like I said, when I first listened to the band, I didn't really like it because I'm like, sure, they have a couple of good songs, but overall, the vocals are really extremely whiny. And just some of the quirkiness, like you said, kind of the funny titles, it was almost like they were being overly cute. You know what I mean? Like, they were trying to be funny and not be a band. And it kind of took it was very hard at the time, because I was there, to take that seriously, And they obviously blew up. They got really, really popular. They started touring with big bands and stuff like that. Like, Linkin Park had a tour with them, for crying out loud. But for me,
and all the Warped tours, and then a tour with Devil Wears Prada, who was massive around the same time.
Correct. And I'm not crazy about this first album, and I know that's kind of blasphemy when it comes to, like, the purest Chiodo fans on the planet. Like, they love this album, say it's the greatest thing since sliced bread. I am not in that camp. So
Here's my take. I will agree with you that the highs are extremely high on this album, and they're kind of blinding in a sense, right?
Correct.
But I don't particularly think the lows are all that garbage. I just think a lot of them are average or maybe just slightly above average. But a lot of these song titles, I only remember for the weird, quirky song titles. I will give you that toss-up kind of there where it's cute sake for being cute sake. But I feel like this album is equated to when you're making a fun
Here we go.
little headpiece for an occasion or a costume or something, and the hot glue is kind of holding stuff up, but you can tell the pieces and the decorations that are the center point, that are the focus, that are very well retained, whereas some of the smaller bedazzled rhinestones or leaves or whatever the fuck are kind of falling apart. But they're still attached.
And it's still character.
Yeah, and there's still character. I think as an early album, right? Because this is their first album, truly, right?
Correct.
That was like a proper album. I don't hate it. It's one of those things where if you're doing a discography or if you're doing like where do I start with Chiodos, there's gonna be 3, 4, 5 songs that are like a necessity.
Sure.
An absolute necessity from this.
For sure.
And then in 2008, 3 years later, we got Bone Palace Ballet Grand Coda. Can I say something about Craig Owens?
Go ahead.
All right, he's a talented man,
Oh, here we
but
go.
he does this weird thing. You know how when Aaron Black fires off his revolvers, they like bounce around inside in the X-ray move? That's Craig Owens' voice. He rattles my fucking sternum or my lady antebellum, my fucking something inside of my head, and I just got to put it down. And I hate to say it, I got halfway through this album, I had to put it down for a little bit and kind of clear my head and come back to it.
Interesting.
Something about Bone Palace Ballet. Okay, don't get me wrong. It's a great album, and if you want to talk about good fucking production, this is like one of those albums where like, yo, dude, if you want to learn how to produce early 2010s-ish and make it sound both good and fun and lively, and all the instruments are clear, and you can separate the sounds really nicely, and you could almost even tell what some of the effect pedals are, right? This is like a prime time example. The production is lovely, but something about Craig Owens' inflection or just the key he was singing in this album, it like rattled me, and I had to put the headphones down for a little bit.
Really?
Yeah, right around, and then the liver screamed help.
Okay.
So halfway mark, maybe a little less, a little more. What are there, 16 tracks, 15?
Depends what version you listen to, because there's like a version
So there's
that has
14, not including... No, there's 13.
13.
Not including the acoustic last two. So yeah, just about halfway through the album, I had to put it down.
Okay.
For about an hour before I picked it back up.
Okay. Can you quantify that? Like, do you know exactly what the issue is?
I think it's me, and I'll be honest here, because I'm trying to be with these career and reviews. Obviously, we're going to eventually touch on favorite albums or albums that we both really care about. I think it's me, man. I think something about Chiodos, especially this album, and myself, I don't find myself craving this album, or honestly, most of the singles off of it, if we're just being like truly honest here.
So,
but that being said, there's a lot of musicianship.
Quick question then.
Yeah.
When we did the March Madness tournament, how did it make it so far with you? Previously?
Because like I said, objectively, it's a phenomenal album.
Okay, fair enough.
Objectively, because that's just the thing, right? Where I come in, I want to lay down the facts, the highlights, and this and that. But at the end of the day, Chiodos isn't a band that I bump. And in fact, it's a band that I've managed to avoid for the past 10 years since Bone Palace Ballet.
Sure.
So that's just my thoughts on Chiodos as a band. We got to give them credit where credit's due.
Now, the thing that I find funny about that is because I feel like you didn't have that reaction with the first album, and he was way more out of control with the first album than he was with the second album.
And you know what, man? Maybe that's what Chiodos needed. A little less refinement.
You think so?
Craig Owens is one of those characters, man. He's one of those characters. He's one of the like A-tier vocalists in the scene, right? There's no way around that. But it's one of those things, man, where you have this prettied up by the rules player, and then you have kind of young Craig Owens, who's a loose cannon, and that weird experimental shit, like in All's Well That Ends Well, and like a good chunk of Illuminaudio, I fuck with heavy.
Well, Illuminaudio wasn't even Craig, so.
Oh yeah, you're right, because that's the 2.5 year gap where he wasn't there.
Yeah, it was Brandon. Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. But maybe Chiodos as a brand and as a band needs a loose cannon.
Interesting.
In my opinion.
Interesting. So yeah, I think very highly of Bone Palace Ballet. This is when I hopped on and was like, okay, I'm in. Just due to the fact that they have some massive bangers like The Undertaker's Thirst for Revenge is Unquenchable, like that song fucking just rips. It rips hard.
Yeah, if I cut my hair, Hawaii will sink. Absolute banger.
Yep, as a progression of a cannibal uses for it, just rips. A lot of these songs just rip, and this is like when I signed on. Now at this point, the biggest issue that I've always had with Chiodos is Craig, and I felt like at this point, at least I felt like he kind of found his.
He had his shit together.
Yeah, he found his range. Like he wasn't so wild and out of control, and I could work with that. And this, like, he found the pocket. That's why I like this album so much, because I always liked like the theming of it and like the big epic sounds, and I feels like in this particular album, like they found their sound. And they weren't so much experimenting. Like they took a good hard look at what they did. It was all's well that ends well. And they're like, okay, these really big, kind of massive cinematic songs, they do very well for us. Let's try to make an album full of them. You know what I mean? And they did that, and with mixed results, because not every song is a hit on here, but we do have some good ones. And I think they really knocked it out of the park with this one. This is probably one of my favorite top 20 albums of all time.
Oh wow!
It's probably near the bottom of that list, but it's up
like
there.
18ish.
Yeah,
17-ish?
yeah, exactly. But I wouldn't, to a certain extent, because we're going to talk about the next album in a minute. I like this album. I probably like that album more than the one after. But I do enjoy a lot of tracks on here. And at this point, I wasn't pulling out of my hair because Craig wasn't so goddamn wild. So
I think it's funny that we like Chiodos for completely opposite reasons.
So strange.
Because Craig is kind of the main attraction here, if we're
Correct.
being honest. Right?
Correct, yes.
And speaking about Craig being the main attraction, he left. They kicked him for about 2.5 years.
Correct.
And then Illuminaudio happened. The first thing I want to say about Illuminaudio as a, I don't want to call it production, but as a feel of like the sonic resonance of this album, I love it so much because it's like you're in this like very architecturally open space, but it's still enclosed. So you get that nice like warmth and like the reverb of the sound on it, dude. Illuminaudio just does such a nice fucking job of like this pseudo openness. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
it's like almost like you're watching a set at like the Aragon.
Correct. Yeah. I'd have to agree with that. The thing that I think is most interesting here is because this came out around the same time that the Zombie EP came out, I believe. And there was this level of just kind of this wave of kind of horror themed projects that kind of took over the scene, and this kind of fills that a little bit because there's some like borderline horror songs on this album. You have
like Love as a Cat from Hell,
Modern Wolf Hair,
Shadow Volcano Man, which fun fact Craig wrote and they renamed.
Correct, and he did his own version of it on his own project. So
Those Who Stay Together stay together.
Yeah, like there's like a horror theme to this, and I kind of like it. It's kind of a weird feel, and this is when like a lot of those Craig purists really kind of ruined this era of the band because they never even give it a chance. They heard that Craig wasn't in it, and that was all they needed to know. And that's the thing about Chiodo fans and in general that drive me nuts because, man, we come from a scene where vocalists especially, get traded out like left and right. This was one of those big arguments back then. It's like Rodney, Craig Mabbitt kind of a situation like with Escape the Fate, or it's in that elk. And this album I enjoy a lot, especially like Caves. Like when you talk about spacing, like I imagine the intro to Caves where it feels like you're in a cave. You know what I mean? Yep. And the way that those drum parts echo just really fucking hit you right in the chest. You listen to this with a good sound system, bro, your innards are vibrating in a good way. You know what I mean? And
Absolutely.
To me, I think it's probably, and it's going to sound like I said, kind of a controversial take because a lot of people wouldn't really include it in the Chiodos discography. I do, and I think it's one of the better albums they got. So, just musically, it was just fucking fantastic. To me, the MVP is the drumming here. Now, I think that's something that Chiodos fans don't like because the MVP for all the other albums, quote unquote, was Craig. he was the star of that show. But after Craig left, Brandon was not nearly as charismatic of a frontman, I admit. He was kind of a stick in the mud when it comes to performance live. I mean, he sounded good, but he was kind of boring to watch, and I saw them during that era, so not as charismatic. So the drumming, Tanner Wayne, Tanner Wayne was in
Scary Kids.
Yep. Yes, he was.
Mistaken.
Yes, he was. And the dude was just a fucking monster. He's a goddamn savage. I think he was an Undermined as well.
He's in a Swedish metal band, black metal band right now, if I'm not mistaken.
Is he really?
Yeah, I want to say yes.
The dude's a goddamn savage. So the drumming really, really took hold here, and they did get a really, really good job. They have some really good highlight tracks here, and the highs are high, man. But they do have some songs that do kind of, not as interesting. But this particular album, I enjoy. So
Chiodos at this point had this kind of precedent set, and it was kind of a brand building thing if we're talking from a business perspective, where they are the wild, wacky, kooky ones. And you nailed it on the head without putting like a label to it. But the replacement vocalist, Brandon, great dude, great vocalist, had like the range for it. But Chiodos is one of those bands like the Chariot, where you don't really listen to them until you see them live. And dude, it's just one of those things. How are you going to outdo Craig Owens? Charismatically, all that stage presence, all that energy, the jumping about and shit like that. It's hard to do. I think what this album suffers from is the lack of backup on tour, because Chiodos toured non-fucking stop since 2005, if I'm not mistaken. The only breaks they took was to record.
Correct.
And for a band that relies so fucking heavily on the live show, and then your new guy kind of doesn't fill that facet. I mean, what did you think was going to happen?
Yeah, because I feel like they were a band with Craig that got top billing on every tour. And then Craig dropped.
And then they started being the second band.
And then they were the second, third band up. And I'm like, what the fuck what is going on? They were on a tour. They were on a tour with Brief Carolina, and they were the co-headliners for that. I'm like, how does that happen? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, because I can name you 5 Chiodos songs, but I couldn't name you 5 Brief Carolina songs.
For the life of me, I couldn't even name you one, because I just don't understand how from album to album they just got totally dropped when it comes to like the fan support and even the label support. Like, the album was not very well promoted, and it's almost like the label wanted them to fail without Craig. So they kind of took it on the teeth when it came to that, man, and a little bit of a bummer, because I thought it had some mileage in it. But the fans didn't want it. They made that abundantly clear, man. When the album dropped, man, you do yourself a favor one day and go to YouTube for Caves. Look at the comments. You're gonna see exactly what the fuck I'm talking about, bro. Oh, well, it sounds cool. It's good, but it's not Craig. It's like, but it sounds good, and it sounds
Craig
cool.
is marketable, and Brandon wasn't, unfortunately.
Correct. Yeah, and that was
which kind of goes to show, huh? That like, are these Chiodo fans, or are they just Craig Owen fans?
They're Craig Owen fans, because when he started up his new band, they all flocked, went over there, and here I was, who was a fan of the band as a whole, because they're tremendously talented musicians, and everybody else was like, well, Craig's over here doing drugs. Two types.
And he's doing both, though. Just to be perfectly clear.
Correct. And I'm here like, well, I'm like, Chiodos is still kicking ass. Like, why are we not giving them love? And
you know what band suffered the exact same fate? Maybe not financially, but the reception wise.
Which one?
Vanna. With the Davey Muse tossing. Yeah. And granted, they recovered. They recovered very well.
Yeah. Okay.
But you know damn well when Davey became the new vocalist, people were not having it.
Correct. They got over it, though.
Yeah, because they stuck with it. And so now, in my head, there's a new continuum where Brandon stayed the Chiodos vocalist.
Forever.
Yeah, we'll see. Speaking about continuing with Chiodos, we're going to go ahead and skip over the Essentials collection, because that's just the best of. 2014's Devil. Okay. So Craig is back. Still doing drugs.
Yep.
Both types.
No, fucking drug split after this, because nobody could stand being in a room with the man for fucking more than 6 months at a time. Keep going.
Yeah, so Devil dropped, and
nobody cared.
It was okay. I think what I like best about this album, because I like to look at the good stuff, is that Craig takes time to belt out and to really kind of serenade those slower parts in these songs, which is nice. Whereas you get it here and there, right, in previous albums.
Yeah.
But this one really kind of hammers it home, like Why Monsters Matter, Duct Tape, and Under Your Halo are like perfect examples of what I'm talking about here. But I like that. And then they broke up, and that's it. And that's all I got to say about Chiodos.
No, that's basically it. Honestly, bro, when any of these songs from like I would say the album is okay.
It's average.
Yeah,
it's average
overall. Anytime any of these songs come up on my shuffle, I skip them. So,
same, absolutely same.
So,
in fact, I have none of this saved. Why is this on my shuffle? And immediately skip it.
Yeah. So I don't have a whole lot to say about Devil because I was disappointed with them at this point.
So pretty much they split. I want to say like 6 months after the release of this album. And I believe Craig said it was because Chiodos has ran its course and none of us kind of want to do this project anymore. So they split on good terms, we'll say. And that was it. So they had an 11-year run if we're including the first demo tapes, right? What do you think is the lesson here? Because I feel like Chiodos could have gone very differently, right? Like my prime example for a band that blows up way too quick and it gets to their hands is Rage Against the Machine. Now, Chiodos had a very similar trajectory where, that first proper album release, they were, like I said, catapulted into the limelight. Like they were the band to copy, right?
Yeah.
Like they were the Asking Alexandria or now the Wage War, whatever the fuck you want to say, right?
Correct.
But they kind of held it together for a while, and they had kind of an honorable discharge, if we can call it that.
Sure.
Not on a grand finale like Let Live or The Chariot or I would even say Vanna went out with a bang, right?
I think the lesson here is that when bands play, when a band forms, when a band gets together, we should support the band, not the members. Because as much as we like to pretend, that the members are important and having that original members are important. Under Oath didn't get big until they lost Dallas.
Yeah, and then I'll say this. I like Dallas's other project, Maelian and Sons, way better than his work in Under Oath.
Correct. Say what you want, about Old School Escape the Fate. Craig Mabbitt's been in that band for 15 years now. You know what I mean? Like, if you stick with it, it will work. Like you said, Brandon wasn't gave it the chance, and they saw that the album didn't do well, and instead of sticking with it and sticking to their convictions, they're like, okay, we'll crack them back in because we need this albums.
Well, that's the exact same thing we laid up with the first demo. It's like, well, maybe Brandon didn't have time to wear in the shoes. You got to break them in.
Correct. And he was never given the opportunity to, and Chiodos is proof of that. And exactly what happened, the dude came back, and again, everybody decided that they couldn't spend any more than 6 months in a room with a guy. You know what I mean? And that was it. And they're probably a band who has had more to contribute because the musicianship is phenomenal, and it's always been phenomenal. But for whatever reason, they just couldn't keep it together. There's a reason why Craig Owens hasn't been able to sustain a band since then, and we start to evaluate the problem here. You know what I mean? I put him in the same, same bag as Johnny Craig from Dance Gavin Dance and Emerosa and all his other bazillion projects, Slaves, all his other projects that he's had. The dude can't keep his shit together. The dude can't get his ego out of the way, and the bands fail because of it. So I think it's kind of sad. Chiodos, I think the whole tale of the tape is that it's kind of a sad story. About a band that had everything, that had all the talent in the world, that had the fan support, and just couldn't keep it together.
I think that's fine and dandy, and I'd probably agree with most, if not all of that. Chiodos for a little bit felt like lightning in a bottle.
Correct.
I think it was like a new drug, and I'm not talking about Craig Owens drugs, right?
Okay.
But
yep.
It was one of those things where it was like, it was new, it was fun, and they were the best ones doing it when everybody was eating up this style of whiny vocals and like drop detuning. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
People were just devouring it like they've never eaten in a buffet before type shit. And for a little bit, it really did feel like it was lightning in a bottle. But eventually, you're right, that bottle cracked.
Yeah, it's a sad. Like I said, it's kind of a sad story because, like I said, the dude himself just can't get anything together. Can't keep his life together. Can't, focus on one project at a time. He's been involved in multiple, and it just never sticks. Never, ever. So,
well, what are you going to do? I had a blast doing this. Actually, I kind of realized that there's probably a reason I stayed away from Chiodos for so long, right?
Yeah.
That being said, I did have a blast. This was kind of out of my wheelhouse. Chiodos was one of your bands.
Correct.
Do you have an idea for what you want to do for the next screen review? Because I kind of have an idea.
Who do you have an idea for?
Well, what do you think I'm going to say?
I have no idea.
It's been 10 years since Long Live. I think we should do at least either a 10-year review on Long Live or a career in review on the Chariot.
Let's do the career in review.
All right.
Career in review for the Chariot coming up next podcast.
Oh, man. All right. Cool. I'm going to have to get Kleenex so I don't cry.
Two types.
Right.
Two types of Kleenex for two different pieces
Chariot fans.
Two different pieces of bodily fluid. Anyways.
All right. So, I'm looking at this agenda and I was like, holy shit, it's been that long since we ran one because we still got to do the Bring Me the Horizon review, right?
Correct.
There's a band called Salem that dropped an EP self-titled Salem. Let me just say thank you to all the alt-gothy bands coming out in like the 2000s that really paved the way. And we did this thing with him with My Chemical Romance with bands like that really paved the way for bands like Creeper, right?
Correct.
Salem does what Creeper does, where it's this goth pop rock orchestral big production movement.
Okay.
And here's my thing. I think they do it better because they have this really organic, really genuine sense of the punk feel in it.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's obviously a horror-themed EP. Well, like horror-ish, right?
Okay.
And it deals with themes like love and death and chasing the girl, and then the girl chokes you and puts you in a grave, right? This is the most fun I've had with a piece of music all year, if I'm being totally honest with you.
Really?
It's five tracks long. It's maybe 18 minutes and some change, but god damn it, dude. I did one listen through, and I did a second listen through, and by the third one, I was singing along with it. It is so much fun. Like I said, it's very earnest in its approach, right? It's not trying to sell you something. It's not trying to snake oil you into anything. It's just like, yo, dude, we're a bunch of goofballs. Here's some fun, upbeat songs with great instrumentals, some catchy and clever lyrics.
Okay.
Oh, by the way, we wear fucking black eyeliner, and that's it. They get in, they get out. And I think if you haven't listened to us, you should give it a fucking try, man, because this thing is an absolute hoot.
I am downloading it now.
Awesome. And this is, like I said, they're much smaller band, and I was looking for somebody because it's been a while since we had a small band review.
Mm-hmm.
So glad I found Salem, man.
Nice.
So fucking glad. So for fans of bands like MCR, him, Creeper, if you enjoy
Old Wounds.
I don't know about Old Wounds, but sure. For fans of Hocus Pocus,
Sweet.
Salem is your ticket.
Cool. Sounds good. Going back to your vampire aesthetic, gotta keep.
Yeah, it all adds up.
Gotta keep moving. All right.
The big one.
We're here, finally. After a month of putting this podcast off, this is what we're here for. Let's talk about it. Bring Me the Horizon dropped a brand new EP called Posthuman Survival Horror, which I've mentioned it before. Fucking love it.
Great name.
Yeah, the title is just fucking sick. So I love it. Now, here's the deal. There has been no harsher critic of Bring Me Horizon's style change than me. I had lost faith in Ali Sykes' ability to deliver powerful vocals, and I thought he has went down Justin Bieber territory, and we would never get him back. Ali Sykes proceeded to kick down my door and shove his fist down my throat for how long is the EP? Probably 25 minutes, right? Because there's only
I'd probably say 30. There's 9 tracks.
Yeah, he proceeded to just violate me in ways that where in a situation where I ended up calling him the next morning and asking him if it was okay for him. There's a level of Stockholm syndrome that has taken place here, and I love him, but I hate him. I would kill him, but I also want to cuddle him. and I don't know what to do with myself because
so Jacob's converted. He's back in the cult.
because the dude, like, the shit
It's good. Let's just get that out there. It's good.
the shit smacks, like, viciously. He has taken any level of criticism. Like I said, we all kind of thought at this point, well, you know, he's getting older now. He must have lost his ability to scream because, well, look at the style change. Why else would he change?
If he's not doing ketamine, I don't want to listen.
Correct. That's what we all thought. And he said, wait, hold the fucking second. Don't forget who the fuck I am. Let me just go ahead and drop some fucking violent, vicious vocals just to shut you guys the fuck up and show you that I can fucking do it, you fucking losers. And that's what he did. You know what I mean? Like, the dude fucking went off on this album, on the EP album, whatever the fuck this thing is called.
This project is really kind of like Rocky in the Creed movies, where the young buck, right? Let's say like Creed is like the audience, right? And they're like, "Oh man, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. You're just some old dude, right? You're soft." And he's like, "Hold on, dude."
Yeah.
And then this happens, right?
Yeah.
And you're like, "Oh shit, Rocky used to be a badass and still kind of is."
Exactly. And to say that they came out swinging does not do the level of violence that they launch upon us justice. Because they kick it. Because I think you and I both agree, like, all the singles that they've released up to this point were, like, very, very good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Turns out that Parasite Eve is my most played song of this year so far. So, and like all the singers were like, oh yeah, really, really good. And then they're like, oh yeah, by the way, Dear Diary just fucking will bulldoze you to the fucking ground. Oh yeah, by the way, Kingslayer featuring Baby Metal will just melt your fucking face because it's so goddamn awesome.
Yeah.
You know
by the way, we got Amy Lee on here, and it's gonna make you want to roll up in a ball and cry in the tub.
Basically, yeah, with fucking bleeding mascara and shit, kind of like an old Evanescence video.
In typical BMTH fashion, the project was kind of a big production, kind of, I don't want to say tightly knit, but interlaced song to song, right? And you really feel it. The theme and the atmosphere of the music is conveyed all throughout. I love every single song on here except Luden's. And I think
I'm not crazy about it either.
Not because it's like an okay track. I just feel like it was almost like a cop-out. Putting it on here,
like it was tacked on. That's what it felt like.
Yeah, it was like, oh well, we have Luden's. That's not on like an official release yet, right? That's what it felt like.
Correct.
That being said, dude, every fucking single song on here is just great. It's very, very well produced. To no surprise, the instrumentals are fabulous. The size, right? Whenever they release a new project,
the scope,
gigantic, right?
Yeah.
The Kingslayer, you texted me. I was like, I'll get to it when I get to it. It just fucking blew my sunglasses off when I put it on in the car. And just everything about this is very well done. Parasite Eve is an absolute banger, and I think that'll be like the new Sleepwalking for a little bit.
Yeah, I hope so, because it's just, like I said, it's just kind of this crazy, unhinged kind of performance by these guys, and it feels like they took kind of the criticism and say, okay, we'll hold my fucking beer real quick. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they've been a very good like class act for a while now, right?
Yeah.
And then it's like, well, when I was in high school, he brought exactly that back.
Correct.
He's like a businessman in a suit trying to play football and decimating.
Yeah.
Because he was this big 280-pound quarterback.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he just, man, like I said, he went out of his way to, like, anybody whoever was critical of his performance on his most recent albums to be like, okay, hold on.
You want heavy? Okay.
Yeah.
Let me get the fucking. Oh, what was that brand for the stupid cartoon anvils? That was in Roger Rabbit.
Acme.
Acme. Yeah. And so he went and got an Acme anvil, and he was like, all right. All right, y'all want to fuck?
I feel like fucking Eddie Valiant's brother got a piano dropped in my fucking head after listening to this goddamn album. Shit was fucking crazy.
I think it's no surprise we both love it. It's probably A territory, if not super close to for both of us. I'm gonna give it like an A-.
I'm thinking A right now. Just due to I wish it was a little bit longer. Like that's like my smallest little nitpick with that.
To be fair, we were spoiled for a very long time with Suicide Season, with There Is a Hell, and with Sempiternal being such masterworks of puzzle pieces being conjoined together. And they did kind of disclose that, hey, like, we're not making like traditional albums anymore. So I'll give the length the pass because I understand it, but
Yeah.
give credit where credit is due. It's a phenomenal piece, and I'm kind of excited to see what they do next because they're all supposed to be themed, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah. So my curiosity is that because, like you said, everything's supposed to be kind of themed. Is the next Posthuman going to be focusing more on their soft sound? Like, is that what they're doing, or are they just kind of keeping these things together thematically based on like lyrical content? You know what I mean? Like that's what I'm worried about or interested in, because Posthuman survival horror, you would be like, oh yeah, that's probably a heavy album, right? But it's Posthuman fucking Lakes by the Seashore going to be, softer, as an example. I don't know. But at this point, I can't really give the man much shit because you mentioned this before, that they're just doing what they want to do. And they proved that, yeah, I could do that still. And you don't want me to because I'll make everybody else in the scene look bad. But we're doing what we want, and we don't necessarily want to do a heavy album every single time. So, I mean, I can't really I can't give it too much shit, man. I can't at this point.
You made your amends with Bring Me the Horizon?
Yeah, because the shit just, ugh.
It's like they've been accumulating all like the dirt and grime and heaviness and anvils in like a closet since That's the Spirit came out.
Yeah, and they've just been waiting. They've been waiting patiently to drop this on everybody and just be like, okay, I got you. See? Told you so.
I want heavy?
Yeah.
I want heavy, okay.
Because, bro,
okay.
I felt like fucking Apollo and Rocky IV at White and Drago. I get that getting fucking hit in the face, but instead of like throwing the towel, I'm like, man, you better not stop this fight. That's what I was at. It was just bad in a good way. Jesus Christ.
So a little late, but I think the sentiments are the same across the board, that it's absolutely top tier work from a top tier band.
Correct.
That has proven time and time and again, you can go fuck yourself because they're going to do whatever the fuck they want.
Correct.
And do it well at that.
Yep. As much as we may hate when they go into software realms, they said, so too bad. Like it is, whatever, man. I can't even. I can't even do it. I can't even say shit about it anymore. Like I can't even talk shit because
I'm sure this will hold us over for a couple of years.
For sure, yeah.
For at least 2 or 3 more soft releases.
Correct.
Then we're gonna be like, okay, come on,
yeah,
do the thing again.
Yeah, do the thing. Do that thing.
Do the thing. It's like when you pester your wife. It's like your birthday. Can you make that dish I like?
Correct. Exactly.
Come on, do the thing. Do the thing. I like the beer bread. Do the thing.
Correct. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That's where we're at, man. I don't know, man. I was kind of left for. I listened to it like probably 3 times in a row, and I'm just like, fuck, bro. Like, Jesus, like I can't even complain. Go ahead, keep going. Sorry. All right, ready?
Good stuff. So speaking about Bring Me the Horizon, we were supposed to do this a very long time ago, but we're finally getting around to it. Best consecutive album releases, and I said don't do the obvious one. The obvious one being There Is a Hell into Sempiternal.
Mm-hmm.
Just because it's super obvious.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's like the golden boy here.
Mm-hmm.
So I have 2 plus 1 prepared.
Okay.
How many did you bring to the table?
I think I got 3. 3.
Okay, you go first because my 2 plus 1 is one with a variation.
Okay. So I'm actually going back to back with one of these, and that is The Architects, which is a little cheating. Lost Forever, Lost Together. Obviously, I think this is the start of their like supreme reign of terror that they've plagued the scene with, where they're just the best band on the planet. Going into All of Our Gods Have Abandoned Us, which just is absolute shredder of an album, and then going into Holy Hell, which is not as heavy but still extremely well constructed and beautiful. Cool. And I guess we'll have to see what the next album sounds like because I like what I've heard so far. So maybe it would be a back to back. So that was my first one. My second one was a little bit more of a surprise, and that was The Enemy Affliction from Chasing.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Chasing Ghosts.
From Chasing.
Let the Oceans Take Me.
Yep, Chasing Ghosts.
Prime time, baby. Prime time.
Correct. Just a extremely well done pieces of music, because Amity is one of those bands that you could just sing along with and kind of get your feelings out, and both albums just did a tremendous job of that. And I just love the kind of theming of the kind of the quote unquote the main character on the album cover. It's meant to be a 2-parter, where it's that same character kind of experiencing different levels of emotion, from obviously from severe depression to maybe freedom to a certain extent. And
it's really nice because Let the Ocean Take Me doesn't really lean on me, or I should say lean on Chasing Ghosts. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So there is that, and something a little bit more recent, Code Orange, Forever,
Fuck
going
yeah.
into Underneath, which is just, I mean, man,
Yeah.
at this point, Code Orange might get my album of the year. We'll see, but those are the best two that I can think of that I kind of brought to the table. I had August Burns Red on the list too, but I'm like, that's kind of cheating too. And I also had Under Oath, but I'm like, we've talked about those albums at length, so I kind of wanted to bring something a little bit different to the table with that. And I think, well, maybe I could pull up one more in a second.
Yeah, sure. So I brought two fun ones.
Sure.
I think you'll like both of these. So the first one is you take any two consecutive ones from their first four albums. Alex is on Fire, self-title, Into Watch Out, Into Crisis, Into Old Crows, Young Cardinals. You take any of those two that were consecutive, and it fucking works.
Correct.
And then the other one, I was trying to find the right words for it, and then you said The Architect's Reign of Terror. Yeah, overseas, their Reign of Terror. But if you want to talk about Reign of Terror at the home front, Laugh Tracks Into a Different Shade of Blue by Not Fucking Loose.
Mm-hmm.
You want to talk about a band that reinvigorated hardcore as hardcore? This is the one. Unrelenting, unforgiving, back to back to back. If you've ever wanted to get into a bar fight, I always say go Dropkick Murphys or go Knocked Loose. You will not find a better bar fight track.
Yeah. But the only difference between those two bands is that the Architects have had a longer run.
Absolutely.
On top. You know what I mean? And we'll see, because I think when I did the Knock Loose review for A Different Shade of Blue, I was waiting for them to kind of dip in quality, because we had a couple of bands in that same time that had a really good first album and the second album wasn't as good, and they kind of caught me by surprise because there was no major drop in quality, you know?
No. It was a matter of favorites, if we're being honest.
Correct.
It wasn't
Yeah.
like, oh, this song's better than this. It was like, well, I kind of like Dead Ringer better than Mistakes Like Fractures, which
Correct.
is fair,
Yeah.
but also wrong. But also not wrong, right? Like, you see, like, it's funky.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, I mean, I'm interested in seeing what the next one sounds like. You know, it's just weird because I feel like I don't know if you feel this way, but with kind of COVID and how it's worked, I feel like the scene has frozen. You know, like
I spoke about it at length, but it's confirmed. Every Time I Die is sitting on the album.
Yeah, it feels like everything is just kind of stopped. You know, and it's because because it's like we're in the middle of a loop, especially when it comes to like a band like a Knock Loose and like a Code Orange to a certain extent. It's like we're in the middle of a loop of a roller coaster and it stops midway, and we're like, what do we do? You know what I mean? Like I get that kind of feeling in my stomach when it comes to that. So it's kind of interesting. We'll see what happens next.
A lot of these smaller bands are releasing stuff to survive.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
But the well-established dudes, man, they don't need it right now.
Yeah, they're just waiting.
They're going to be like, we're going to wait till we can tour because we're going to have the best merch designs.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to do like an 85-day tour, and we're going to do like 72 stops.
Correct, yeah. And imagine, just wait till that fucking assault on our ears happens when all those bands decide to come out swinging again, you know? So
yeah, we're going to have some phenomenal tours, some phenomenal music dropping because, you know, and I know you don't like the band, but I see a lot of the same sentiment being shared. Because Matt Chiodos from Avenged Sevenfold, he's like, yo, dude, we can't tour. I don't want to drop it. And I was like, you know what? I understand, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
You know, do what you got to do.
For sure. And yeah, it's kind of an interesting state of affairs. I did have one more, and that is Parkway Drive, Deep Blue to Atlas, because just listen to the shit, bro. You know? Goddamn.
Just sit down and listen to it. You don't need an explanation.
Exactly.
You need music.
Exactly. So I did want to cover one last thing before we took off today, which we had quite a lengthy show, which I'm quite proud of because I was a little worried. In Spirit dropped another single.
Yeah.
This single is called Deep Cove, right? Did I said? Right? I think that's what it's called. Now, the only minor complaint I have about this track is that when the song starts, it feels like it's starting in the middle of a song. Like there's no build. Like there's no build at all. Like the song just starts. That's a little weird. But they have a breakdown in here that just makes me want to fucking jump out a window. So, you know, we got that action going. I do want to do a kind of another career in review coming up soon. maybe After the Chariot for To the Wind. I know they don't have the largest discography in the world.
Oh, you've been jamming.
I've been jamming because I came across something on Shuffle the other day, and I'm like, man, that fucking ripped. What was that? I'm like, of course it was fucking To the Wind. I think you've mentioned that before, right?
I love this band.
Yeah.
Because they were doing a leg of a Vanna tour, and I was like, yo, Jake, you need to sit down and listen to this. And if you want to talk about top 20 albums, it's going to be hard to pick one from this album, from this artist to put on that list for me, because To the Brighter View, Block Out the Sun and Sleep. I mean, you know me, I'm a sucker for the very like introspective look of like, yeah, dude, I'm a hardcore vocalist, but don't not fuck the world, fuck me and my choices.
Correct, yeah. And like, yeah, because there was the song about his mom. He's like, Mom, was I a good son?
I was just about to mention Hands of the Clock. I was literally at the gym one day when that came on, and I was deadlifting, and I had to put it down. I was like, dude, I did not sign a permission slip for this skill strip. This is too much right now, but it's a banger though.
Exactly, absolutely. So maybe After the Chariot. Well, like I said, not the longest discography in the world, but I definitely feel like we can have a conversation about it. So,
fun fact: To the Wind actually toured with the Chariot for the farewell tour, if I'm not mistaken. That's where I saw him for the first time.
Oh, cool.
It was at the farewell tour.
Oh, very, very cool. Excellent. So, I think, unless you got something else, I believe that was episode 165.
I do have one last thing.
Okay.
Chelsea Grin dropped a new single, and it's really cool because there's a breakdown within a breakdown. So if you ever want to like listen to the sound of your eyes bleeding in like a good way, I'd recommend it.
Bro, fucking Amir's been doing that for 15 years, bro.
Listen, dude, this Chelsea Grin right now. They are demanding attention.
Okay, we can take a look.
Demanding attention, Jacob.
All right, I'll check it out too, and we'll talk about that next week. All right,
for sure.
All righty, buddy. That was episode 165 of the Second City Kids podcast.
165.
Yeah, please join me on Twitch, man. We've been having a fucking blast on Twitch recently. Been streaming some Call of Duty as well as some Apex Legends, and we've been having a party. So if you guys get the opportunity to stop in and stream, I stream on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I don't know if I'm going to be streaming games tonight because I did the show. But please stop in. We're having a good old time. I'm on the road to 25 followers, and I'm ready to get that going. So, you guys know the deal. You guys, we have everything else we play throughout the intro. Thank you guys for joining us, and until next time, folks, deuces. And from my people on Twitch, thank you guys for watching. I'm going to go ahead and shut down the